All right, so I'd like to talk about the two topics that are commonly misunderstood. Um, and I get a lot of questions, and even some people think that they are synonymous, but they're not. Building strength and building muscle are not the same thing. They actually take two different approaches to gain. One of them focuses on building more muscle, so you actually see somebody get bulkier, the muscles get bigger. The other one, building strength, is actually an effect of your neurology. So you train your brain to respond differently and faster than when you're doing a bodybuilding or when you're trying to build muscle. You're just focusing on the muscle itself and not necessarily the brain. So if you're doing a program that you think is building both muscle and strength, you're going to come to a ceiling where if the program is meant for building muscle, then you'll probably cap out or hit the ceiling for strength, but potentially continue to build muscle. And vice versa. If you're working with a program that is strength based, you might get to a point where you might not build more muscle, but you might get stronger. You probably will get stronger, and that's okay. But you have to understand that they're not the same thing. And just because somebody has a lot of muscle doesn't mean they're strong, and someone who's really strong doesn't mean they're overly muscly, right? Or overly muscular. So a lot of people have a challenge of understanding those two concepts. And basically, as far as training is concerned, if you are doing somewhat of a bodybuilder split, or chest one day, legs one day, back one day, and you're focusing on the fatigue of the muscle and trying to push it past fatigue, then that's a muscle building program. If you're lifting heavy weights, taking fairly long breaks, and the intensity is fairly low, not the challenge is going to be really, really high, but the intensity is going to be low, then you're probably going to be building strength, right? That's a strength program. What people confuse themselves with is, or they kind of get wrong, is they try to lift heavy fast. And doing that can lead to injuries, can really get you to your plateau a lot faster. And with building strength, programming is huge. So if you're not programming correctly, then you're gonna hit a ceiling fast, you're gonna hit a plateau, or you can get injured really quickly. So here at Health Shift, myself and Coach Oz are really focused on making sure when people are trying to build strength, that the technique is there, and that it's really about skill. If you can build skill in lifting weights and lifting heavy weights, and it's that repetition of doing quality reps, then it's going to be safe. And if the program allows for you to make sure it's at a very gradual increase, then you're going to be a lot less risk for injury. If you're moving stuff fast, if you're trying to build muscle or trying to build strength, really fast, and your programming is short and you're making big jumps, then you're more likely to get injured. So if you have questions about building strength and building muscle, let me know. But that's kind of the basics of it. We can get into a lot more detail. But again, building strength and building muscle is not the same programming.